Discuss the pattern matching and regular expressions in more details, and if you are wondering, this will be part of the lab test 3, will be at the end of November. And we will discuss the JUnit test, and at that time I will try to connect my laptop and do some work in front of you, how we can create the JUnit test. And actually I use the JUnit test to test and to evaluate your answers for the lab test too. It's very efficient methodology to test the code and make sure the model that we create, the classes, the method are completely and accurately implemented. And also we will discuss the collections. We'll hope we touch the topic collections in more details next week, but we will introduce the collections this week and the way of thinking of the collections. Before I jump too deep, I will just mention something about that surprised me during the lab test, and also when I look at the sum of program implementation for the programming part. I saw that some of the students, for example, they use a regular expression to answer the questions. Some of them, they use collection, even array list, and we didn't cover that yet. And that's good. I'm happy for that. The only thing that constraint is the input and the return output. So when we ask you to implement a method that receive an array and return, let's say, a number of even element inside this array. So I need the input, the same array, and I need the return is the number of even integers inside this array. Between the line on the body of the method, I didn't restrict you. The only thing, even I give you some help, you need to use a loop, and this loop should not be executed more than is necessary. So that's the only constraint. You want to use the regular expression, it's your choice. You want to use the array list or hash map, which is not yet covered actually. It's your choice. So I'm not saying this is not good. There's some questions, some of you got these questions where I ask, you have to use for loop and you have to use while loop. Here we will look in details that did you use the while loop or did you use the for loops. And we have, by the way, some students where the machine is saying this is an infinite loop. Some students, they still not putting the loop all together with the termination condition, so the loop is running for infinity. Let us now go back to our topic of these lectures. So last time we discussed these examples where we are looking on side the string. And I told you last time that a string text on this example, it can be any file, text file, or any web HTML page, or any things that you are a PDF file, you need to open it and search inside it for a specific pattern or a specific regular expression. And as you can see here, the pattern is from A to Z small plus 1. So one or more you can. Then once we create the pattern, we need to compile the pattern. So the Java now, it's ready after we compile the pattern. Then we call we name it a matchers, who are going to take our patterns and the compiled pattern and run it through the text. In this case, it's a string, now is the time. And then we use matcher m.find, which will allow us to iterate through all the matches for these regular expressions. And also we use m.start and m.end. So to extract the part from the text where it's really matching this pattern. So we end up with extracting, as you can see, the first letter is N capital, which is not matching the pattern. That's why it's not included in the output. The only match is OW. This is the first one. Then we have IS, the second one. Then we have THE, the third. And the final one is TIME. And we print the patterns with star at the end. So we have the pattern, we have the text, we compile the pattern, and then we run the matches. All these 4 things we need to do before searching for anything. We need to create your pattern, you need to know your text that you're going to search, you need to compile the pattern, and you need to create the matches that will help you. We discussed last time about some notation and syntax to create the regular expression. We say whenever we see a dot means any characters. Whenever we see a dollar sign means the end of the line. When we see the cut, which is the shift with number 6, that is beginning of the line. And whenever you use the braces, curly braces, that we mean we are specifying the ranges that we are looking for. And square brackets is the character classes. And inside this square bracket, the cut has a special meaning, which is the shift. Some characters, when they are exist inside the square pattern here, gonna be turned to another meaning. We're gonna see some examples. And then we have the vertical part, which is meaning of logic OR. And if we have a group of patterns that we need to match, we use the parentheses. This slide shows examples about some expressions. We have square bracket 0, 1, 3. We mean that we are looking for a single digit that either 0 or 1 or 3. We are looking for only a single digit. Now, look at the second expressions. We have 2 square brackets. That means we are looking about 2 digits, 2 different digits. And each one of them is range from 0 to 9, which end up we are looking for any numbers between 0, 0 and 9, 9. Now, for the third line, we are looking for a pattern that starts always with A capital. You see here, it's A capital, then any digits between 0 and 4. And then we have P small, followed with any digit, either 0 or 5. Now, look at this pattern, the one before the end, which is looking for a single digit, but with the compound conditions for this single digits. You can put everything in one square brackets. I look for a digits between 0 and 9. And this is a condition, and now look at this character. It's a special character. It means beginning of the line. But now, because it's inside the square brackets, it means exclude things. So I need any digits between 0 and 9, but not equal to 4 or 5 or 6 or 7, which end up with 0, 1, 2, 3, 8, and 9. You're looking for a single digit, one of these. So again, if I give you this expression and I ask you, give me another equivalent expression to this one, you can do that, yes? If I ask you, can you give me an equivalent for this one? What I want to say is a regular expression that you come up with, and then I can create another regular expression. It's not unique. So I can say, I will just put a square bracket, and I can put like this, 0, 1, 2, 3, 8, and 9, like the first one. So why should I make it complicated for myself, okay? So a regular expression is not unique, and that's what we're gonna see on the lab test. You need to practice on creating irregular expressions. Give you a regular expression and ask you, give me an equivalent one, which is gonna do the same job. So the one before the last is looking for any digits between 0, 1, 2, 3, 8, and 9. I can do this by just putting a square bracket and putting all these digits between, the same as the first one. So there's sometimes, for a reason of professionality, for a reason to show other people we can manipulate and go around a simple regular expression, we do this. We try to make use of all the syntax of regular expression. As you can see in the one before the last, we are using exclude notations, to exclude some digits from the range. Now, what about the last one? The last one is, again, looking for a single digit, but this single digit can be any lowercase and any number, okay, between 0 and 9. Any question? Okay. Now, after we discuss the syntax, we come up across very powerful tools inside the regular expression, which is the quantifier. It allows us to find more inside the text. Okay, so the quantifier is saying for the question mark here, x can be any regular expression from these. Take any one of these and put a question mark at the end. So x on this slide means any regular expression you create. Now if you are using a question mark at the end of the pattern, then you are saying once or not. So you are saying, is there an element exist or not inside this set or inside this text? So you are saying, if this element exist, like I'm asking if these students belong to this class or not. Did you take the discrete math? They exist. So 0 or not, you are asking once or not at all. Search for this pattern, once or not at all. You take the text, you try to search for the pattern, appear once or not at all. If you use a star, you're saying 0 or more than one time. There's a difference between the one with the question mark and the one with the star, and I think it's clear from the text. Once or not at all, 0 or more than one time. And plus saying 1, you start from 1, I need 1, at least 1, or more time if you add a plus sign to the pattern. But this is not the end. We have to make it more, if I'm looking for a pattern for exactly n times, how I can do this? With star, question mark, plus sign, I cannot do this. I cannot restrict that. I need a pattern 10 times. That's all. Take this pattern and run it through this web page and give me if this pattern appear n times. Then I will classify this web page as spam. Or I classify this email as Trojans, whatever. You need a specific keyword to be appear inside the email, then you classify the emails based on that. So we can do that. We can have the kill braces and we put n inside it, and by that we say I need to search for the pattern exactly n times. Some people they say okay, at least n. So we are saying just add comma to it. You put the braces, kill braces, n and comma, which you are indicating you need at least n times. Now some people they say no, I need to look for n plus 1 between n and m. And these things can appear on some marketings or some stocks research. You are searching for some items between the range, between at least n and maximum m times. You're looking for a pattern. That's where we come to string manipulations and text search, and they call it natural language processing. You are processing a large news. You need to say if this news or this event for Facebook, for example, for a page or for a post or for a tutors, you need to see the tag is appearing between n and m times. You have all the logs files. You search through the log files, then you decide if this tag is, you need to put it as advertisement or you need to show something for the user Facebook page or for the tutors. So all this is back because you don't have any visualization. You have all the logs from the user of the internet, and you processing these log files, then you can say there is an attack or there is something you need to do. All this is based on the regular expression that you create, and you search for this regular expressions either once or not at all, or either 1 or more, or 0 or more, or you need a specific range between n and m, or at least n. All these choices, you can do it with the regular expression by adding more quantifier to it. Okay? So we discussed this last time about the brackets, and we have some choices if we need to make. We can use the vertical bar and the parentheses. As you see in these examples, we are looking for any match. A regular expression is saying WP, and we put what? The square parentheses or the parentheses around the choices that we are looking for. In this case, we have a choice, AP or EED. So you have AD or EED and match with a single characters, either W or P. Yes? Again? I think in here is restricted to be integers. Yes. Okay. I'm not sure, but you can try. But my answer is integer. But it's left for you to try it, to see. You want things to be 1.5 times? Oh, okay, I see. If its arithmetic expression is evaluated as an integer, I think it's valid. But you need also to verify. But if its arithmetic expression gonna end with the real number, I'm not sure. But again, this is a programming. Sometimes questions end up with test case. We need to try it and see. But my answer is integers or any regular expression that end up with evaluated as integers. Okay? Here is another example where you use the parentheses to give a choices that we have, a range of choices. As you can see on this last one, you are looking for anything that starts with AZ or CA or CO, any one of these, and then followed with what? Can anyone tell us here? What is this? Followed with what? I already explained the first part of this regular expression. This regular expression is saying, give me any text that starts with AZ or CA or CO. And what about this other part? 4 digits. We're looking for a single digit that has exactly 4 times. You see, we need a digit that is repeated 4 times. That's why we put here XXX. So we are looking for a digit. We have it 4 times. You see the power? If I don't have this quantifier, what I should do? I will copy this 4 times. Is that right? Because I'm looking for 4 different digits. But with this quantifier, allow me to say I need exactly the digit, follow this strings as AZ, I need 4 digits after it. Exactly. Otherwise, the matter is not bad. This is a single digit, has some choices. This is whenever you need a range of choices, you are using the parentheses with the vertical. You cannot use the vertical bar here. Okay? You are using the vertical bar inside the parentheses to give a range of choices that you have. Here you can give a range between A small to Z small, but you cannot use a vertical bar. Okay? And we come across, all this is from the previous lecture, but just to set up the discussion so we can go more in the next slide. Dot means any characters, and backslash with D just to make things more compound rather than putting a square bracket from 0 to 9. By doing backslash and D, you include any digits. And also this is like a shorthand. You can think about these as a shorthand or a shortcut to create a pattern quickly, okay, and make it more compound. You have backslash and D capitals. In this case, you are looking for any non-digit characters. And backslash with S, small, you're looking for a white space characters. And these are white space, because in the exam, the students, they're asking, what is the white space? Is a tab? These are white spaces, okay? And by the way, on the exam, you don't need to know this. There is a method we discuss on the character to check the character if it's white space or not. So you can just send the character of the string to this method is a white space, then it will return true if that's correct, okay? So you don't need to create so there is a method you can use to check if this character is white space. You're looking for non-white space character by using the S capital. And also backslash and W, we're looking for a word characters, which can be any small character, capital letter characters, underscore, or any digits. If you use W capitals, in this case, you are looking for non-word character. All these predefined character classes allow us to easily create the pattern more compound. As you can see here, the white space, this is a space, is part of the white space. And you can see rather than writing all this, A small to Z small, A capital to Z capital, underscore, 0 and 9, you can just simply write one character, backslash with W. You are actually looking for the word characters. We come across this example last time. We say we have this demo examples to show the power of search of the pattern. We create a pattern, as you can see, T dot R. When we say dot, means any characters, and we are looking for exactly this patterns. We're looking for this pattern, and we end up running this and retain the result as a 3 iteration, 3 results, and we iterate it through m.find. And we look for a pattern T as a start, R as an end, and we have any character. It happened to be O on the middle all the time. Now, if we add a quantifiers to this, we're saying once or not at all. That's what is the meaning of this quantifiers. So we need any character between T and R once or not at all. That is the meaning of the question mark. Is the result of the search will be changed or will stay the same? What do you think? Change. In this case, we will have, as you can see, whenever it starts with T and end with R, even if there is no character between, we're going to retain it. But in the previous examples, we saw that we are insisting to have a character between T and R. If there is no character between T and R, you should not retain this pattern. But here, we are saying once or not at all, which means we can retain a pattern that starts with T, end with R, and nothing between. As you can see in the result, we have T and R, TOR, TOR, then T and R. These are all a valid matched expressions for our expressions. All the students can see the difference between this example and the previous one. Do you have any question? Okay. So we have here the question mark saying is an optional once or not at all between these patterns. Okay. Now let us make it more combined. And you know the backslash inside the string has a special meaning. So we have to put actually double backslash to give a meaning of backslash, and then W. And we say W is meaning what? Is a shortcut for what? Any word characters. So I'm saying I need exactly a pattern that starts with T, end with R, and there is a character between. And this character can be digit, is that right? Can be underscore, can be any special character, can be a white space. So what do you think we're going to retain? How many patterns? The string is very short. I believe if you take half a minute and you can tell us what is the result. This is an exercise. You take it at home. But what do you think the output? I don't have the output, by the way, here. I'm not sure. I don't know. Maybe. But what do you think? This is an exercise. That means I don't have output here. How many patterns will be retained? 4. 4 or 3? 3. Or 4. What about this? 1, 2, 3, and that's all. Yes, 3. And what about this one? You try it at home. You're saying that I need, I told you last time that we can have this kind of combinations between a question mark and plus. And we say once not at all with a plus sign. So you have combined things together. So some people, they do it like this, but there is a shortcut. Again, I can create an expression like this one. I hope you can evaluate it at home and see the difference. But there is no difference maybe between this one and the previous one. Because you see once at all or not at all, you cancel each other. But anyway, I leave it for you to try and see this. Now, if someone needs to create a regular expression, that's what happened. I think if you have a cell phone, nowadays, of course, you receive a call that there is a low case and the Canada Revenue Agency scams or something like that. How they find your emails? How they find your phone number? They search inside the websites, all the websites that you have. Maybe you put your name, your email, and your phone number on the LinkedIn, and you put it on the Facebook. You put it in some website for a delivery. They have all the log files, and they search inside it. They extract these phone numbers. The only interested for us is the phone numbers. So to do this, they create a regular expression. And as you can see here, this is a regular expressions to search for the phone number. And to be able to create that regular expression, you should not like start think from some imaginary things. No, you have to know how the phone number is formed. Then you match it with the regular expressions. You create a regular expression. We know that we can have digits, then minus sign or a dash. That is between, you see, parentheses. Because this is a choice. We could have it or we don't have it, once or not at all. And then we have digit, and we need exactly 3 times. Then we have dash. Another choice, sometimes we don't know the area for Montreal, for example, 415, here is 416 or 647, okay? So the area maybe is not there, but this is mandatory, the 3 digits exactly, and then dash 4 digits. So this expressions saying I need all these components to be there. So this is a phone number searching for a phone numbers. And you see, this is a regular expression. I won't like you to see the difference, because in the exam I will end up having answers that is wrongly compiled because you forget the backslash. You see the difference between one here and the one here? This is the regular expression if I ask you what is the regular expression without putting it inside a Java programming. If you need to take this regular expression and add it to the Java, you need to have backslash, double backslash, double backslash, double backslash, all of this. Because Java will not understand, it has a special meaning for the backslash. Is that right? So we have to do this. So if I ask you to answer in the programming style, you have to give me this regular expression. If I ask you to give me a regular expression without any Java things, give me the one on the top. Okay? I hope you can see the difference now when you answer the questions or try to give a regular expression. A normal regular expression don't have double backslash. But the regular expression that I need to search inside the Java programming, I need to add the backslash because Java understands the backslash has a special meaning for the backslash. Any question? Yes?
So when you write comments in Java, is it 1 backslash or 2?
Comment?
Yeah.
Oh, this is slash, this is backslash, 2. Yeah. So this is a forward slash, not backslash. Yes. Again? You put plus once? Yes. Yes. You put a plus at the end. If you need it exactly n times, you need to have the braces with exact numbers inside it. Okay? Yes? Question marks means once or not at all. Yes, for these expressions. Only for these expressions. So you have x, this expression we discussed in the previous slide. So you have these expressions. You have slash, then you have d, minus, all these between the parentheses, and you have a question mark here. This means once or not at all. So it's maybe exist or not at all. Okay? So here we have examples where they create a patterns that search for any website that end with .org. So as you can see, we are searching for a website that start with any letters, A capital or Z small, capital or small, and then there is underscore. This is a mandatory underscore. A plus here means once or more, okay? And then we have another characters. There's no digits on the website. And also we have at, there is a name, plus also, and we have .org. And this pattern, we take it and we run it in through array of strings. And we iterate through the array of strings, as you can see in the for loop, string email, and then this is a candidate email. This will iterate another way of doing a for loop through the array by extracting only the elements of the array. I'm not interested on the index of the array, index 0 up to length minus 1. So I'm just extracting the element of the array. So I'm saying string email, and then we are searching for the candidate emails. And in this case, we are printing the email, and then we ask email.matches. Here we are using a string method, not a matches. We are using a string method to match a pattern. So as you can see, we did not compile the pattern. So we have the pattern, and we didn't compile the pattern to create a pattern objects. So we have the pattern created, and we have the text, and we use the matches method from the string. So the matches method from the string allow us to take the pattern. As you can see, I didn't do the compilation of the pattern. I didn't use the matches to search for the pattern. I use the string matches, and I give the email symbol rate is a regular expression to this matches. And then I will have true or false if the email or if this string match the pattern. So is another way of using the pattern is using the matches method from the string. And then we will print matches or don't match. So by running this, how many of these emails will match the pattern? 2. The first one will match because underscore is mandatory, and this will match, this will not match. So here is the for loop to iterate through this array of string or any even array of integers, but without, if you are interested on the content of the array, you're not interested in the index where this content exists, you can use the same method. And then you ask the string matches to match the regular expressions, and then you end up with 2 of them match the regular expression that we create. Now, you can use the regular expression to split a string. So you are saying, I would like to split the string by multiple times, but with using a special character between the string part. So you can see here, the pattern is here. What does the pattern means? Can anyone help us? What does the pattern means? Anything except letters from A capital up to Z capital, from A small to Z small, and we have a plus sign at the end. Plus sign means what? More than 1. And as long as we find this, we can use it to split the string. So as you can see here, we have the text, and we ask the text dot split, and we give the pattern. Again, we are using the string dot split. We are not using the pattern, or we compile the pattern and run the matches for this one. We are using the string methods. So we take the split and we give the pattern to the split. We end up with retaining a string array. You see the retained part is a string array, and call it pieces here. And then we iterate through all the pieces that we have, and we print the string. What do you think the output? Or let's say how many split or how many pieces this string will end up? 7, 10, 9. So the match in this case will be excluded. So this is the split, and this is the output. I think here we have 1, 2. So these are special cases will be removed. This special case will be removed. This will be removed. This will be removed. This will be removed because anything is not character. This is not a characters, and I mean not a letter characters. And then we have these columns and so we have 6 part or 6 pieces of this string. So you can see here, we're not interested in the pattern that we are search for, but we use the pattern to split the string. So we have the pattern, and we use the pattern to split the string. Now again, you can use the pattern not only to find the match, that I want to keep it in your mind. You can use the pattern to find the match and extract it to the user, like you extracting the phone numbers from the web page or the text file. You can use the pattern to search for the phone number and bring it back. You can use the pattern to search for something and replace it. You can use the pattern to split some strings in 2 parts. Okay? No, this sign means anything is not letters from A capital to Z capital, from A small to Z small. No, this is printed here. This is part of the print, not part of the string. String is contained, this is the content. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But I print the index for you. It's here. I is the index for loop. It's not part of the string. No, it's not matching. You're using this. The power here is the split. I'm not using, look here, I'm using what? Matches. So if I use the matches, I'm looking for the match of the pattern. But I'm using here split. Split will take the string before the patterns and after the pattern. So you split things. I'm not interested to match the pattern. The pattern that I match, I use it to split the string. Okay? So don't keep that in your mind. As I mentioned, I use the pattern to search for the phone number, so I need to, whatever I match, the phone number, I need to retain it. But I use the pattern here to search for something can be split. Okay? Like you take the text and you need to split the text to columns whenever you see the semicolon. So you split the text whenever you see a semicolon, that's a pattern to search for it, and you put a bar. This is a column. That you see always on whenever you have a text and you take the text to the Excel, you ask the Excel to split it based on the semicolon or based on the tab or a column, whatever you like. So that's what I want you to, don't restrict your mind that always the pattern, search for it and find it and retrieve it. You can use the pattern to search for something and replace it. Okay? Now, as you can see, this is another example where we are using the matchers this time to what? To report what we find as a match. It's the same as the previous example, but this time we are not using a string.matches. We are using a matchers. We create a matchers, we create a pattern, and we compile it, and then we assign it to the pattern here, and we are create the matchers inside, and we ask to find if it's match or not. So again, it will report, as you can see here, we create the matchers, and then we send the string to the matchers to see if this match the pattern or not.
Why do we, for the for function, why do we assign a new string instead of just using the one? I mean, why do we assign string email instead of just using the string candidate emails?
Candidate emails is the array of strings. But the method here is receiving a string. It's not the matchers. This method is defined as a string. Is input of the method. When they create it, Java expert, they say this method is working if you give us a string. If you give us an array of a string, because this is a candidate emails, it's an array of a string. It will not work. Okay? Because the method is working if you give us a string. Yes, that's why we give a string to this method. We can create our method where we give an array of a string, then inside it we run it individually for each match, as we see here in this. So we have an array of string and we iterate through all the strings inside this array of string to see if they are matching or not. Okay, sometimes you need to search for time, and you can have this time in AM or PM. You can see this pattern. You search for choices and ranges here. That's why we use a parentheses and then we use a square bracket inside. So there is a choices. You can have 1 or you can have 0, 1, and 2. Then you have or, the vertical bar, and the range between 1 and 9. That is the time. Then you have a colon. And then you have from 0 to 5, from 0 to 9. So then you have \s, any white space, then you have either AM or PM. One thing that can be concluded here, to create an efficient regular expression, you have to understand the way of the way that the thing is created. This is the way that people write the time, either in AM or PM. I cannot create an expression I'm saying here from 0 to 9. Why? Why I restrict it here from 0 to 5? Exactly. So I know the time. I know that in each hour we have either 0 hour 59 minutes. We cannot have 60 minutes. So the more you know about what you are looking for, the more you are efficient of creating a regular expression that can find exactly matches. So again, here we have a time, and we run it through the matches regular expressions. And we have the pattern, we compile it, and then we take the pattern and do the matches, and we print. We are using here matches.matches. And we know that the matches, whenever you have matches, it will retain if it's exactly match the whole strings. You have the matcher method we discussed last time. Matches from the matchers whenever the pattern is matching the whole string and retain true, otherwise will retain false. By running this, you can see this is not matching the pattern number 13 because this is not a time. Okay? This is not a time.
On the first line, it's a bit ambiguous. The vertical bar.
The vertical bar is giving us either you have one digit like this or two digits. Okay? So it allows us, because sometimes you have some people they put 01 to make it 1 p.m. or 1 a.m. or they put 1 dot this or column. So this vertical bar give us a choice that to adopt, because otherwise if we don't have this vertical bar, we're saying that we need, even if it's 01, we need to be able to write 01, 09, 08. But in this case, that's not the way that the people are writing the time if it's AM or PM. They write 11 AM, but when they mention 6 PM, they write 6 colon the time. They're not writing 0, 6 colon on this. So the vertical bar is to give us a choice of or. Okay? So even if someone writes 01, still we can match it. Okay? Yes? What exactly?
So for the parentheses 1 all the way to the next parentheses, do we need those parentheses?
This one? No, this parentheses is end here.
Yeah. Do we need them?
Yes. That is give us the choices. This is the way the syntax of creating a regular expression, to give a choice. Whenever you have two choices, you put them inside, okay, the parentheses. Now if you put it, look here, if you put it inside a square bracket, is a give you a, you are looking for a single digit, but this will give you a single, two digits, either this or this. So whenever you need a choice, okay, you put it inside the parentheses. You can go to the previous slides at home and see the difference. You can go to the programming and write a program where you use the square bracket, and then you see the power of using the parentheses. That gives you a choice where you can use the or bar inside it. This or bar used inside the parentheses here. Okay? This is an example where I give you the regular expression and I ask you, give me whatever you think about these regular expressions.
So the word
Start with. That's right. You look at this part. There is a kill braces here. You 4 and 15. You start reading from that part. You're saying that anything, at least I need 4 from it, or 15. What does this mean? End of the line. Okay, you start from the end. What about you start from this one? What does this mean? Beginning of the line. It's not inside the square bracket. If it's inside the square bracket, it means exclude things, but it's in the beginning. So we have the beginning of the line, end of the line. So we are looking for something written at the beginning and end. And this something should start with the letters, either small or capitals, from A small up to Z small or A capital to Z small. So this start point. Then we have /W. What is /W shortcut for what? Word characters. Can include underscore too. Yes? Good. And you need this 4 times at least, and maximum 15 times. So if someone writes something 16, you exclude it. Yes? Immediately. So this represents, let's say, a word or a password that must start with the characters, not underscore or integers. Okay? Contains only letters, numbers, and underscore, that is W, the objective of using W, at least 5, or at least 4 or 5. Why 5? Why is not 4? Exactly. So this is not for whole things. This only for this expression, which is /W. You see, this 4 and 15 for this W, but this is a single digit. So 4 plus 1 is 5, so at least 5 characters. And maximum is 16. Any question? So being able to have the expression and annotate it and understand what this expression, that is the good sign. Okay? So we have the expression, being able to understand it, annotate this expression, and understand what this expression is looking for. Okay, by having that expression, and I give you these, as you can see here, we have the string of candidate, and then we ask another method, which is we ask the class name, and then we ask test run, and we give the pattern, a candidate, and show the groups. And this is the test one. It's receive the array of a string, as you mentioned, array of a string. We take the pattern, we compile the pattern, and we run through the array of a string, and then if it's the match, we say yes, no, and then we print the match, and then we iterate through the group of the match. So all this code is on the slides. I encourage all of you to go over these slides, try to have Android Studio next to you, and try to copy paste this code to the Android Studio and run it and see what's the output. So by going back here, by just you as a human understand what's the pattern is meaning, what of these match the pattern and what of these not matching the pattern. Of course, because it starts with the letter, you exclude it at all. Third one is not matching. Why? Is not long enough. And anything else? So both we agree about the first, second one, and the third one. Let us see. So this is. So the first one is match, the second one no, the third one no, and the rest is matching. Okay? Which one? This? Oh, show group, you have to go to this method, and then you see this is a Boolean show groups, and this it's grouping. Okay, if you have matches group number is greater than 0, okay, and show group is true, that means you print this one. you have more than one, okay, you find inside this matches. It's, I leave it for you, I put it in the slide, but I leave it for you to discover it, okay? It's, whenever you search for the groups of the pattern, in this case, we're going to have a group only one, because we are matching only one group. Okay, this is a case study. If you have, suppose all the students are assigned a 3-digit code, and the first digit represent the majors of the students, 5 indicate computer science students. Then we have a second digit that represent either in-state, out-state, or foreign students. And then the third digit indicate the campus housing. So in campus, we will have 1 to 7, and students live off the campus represented by 8 digits. Okay? So you can here, this is a valid expressions. You can search for computer science students, and they must be 1, 2, or 3, and then they live on campus. That's why you put 1 to 7. Okay, they search for computer science students, either on-state, out-state, or foreign students, and as long as it's live on the campus. Okay, now is the JUnit. Let me just try to set up the machine. Hopefully we can have some presentation about the JUnit, because it's good to learn by example. Good. Okay, so I hope again we can do some recording. Okay. So now everybody, you create some models in your apps. For example, you create this model for the PMI model here. This is okay? Text. So this is a PMI model you created for app 1. You say I have a class called PMI model. You define two attributes, as you can see here. We have a private double weight and private double height. And then you create a constructors. And that's where I find most of the students struggles. What the meaning of constructor? We discussed on the class that the constructor is responsible of taking arguments and create an object for us, and is the entry point to interact with the class. You create a class. If you do want anyone to create any object from this class, you create a private constructor, an empty private constructor, so no one can create an object from this class. But if you decide that I want a class where the user can create object from this class, you provide a public constructors. And now there is a lot of variations. You can have a public constructors, for examples, that can take two strings, as you can see here, and whenever I receive string W and H at two strings, I will create an object and I will initialize the weight and the height. I can have an empty constructor. For example, I can create public. Now the constructor, there is no retain type. I don't need a retain type for the constructors. I can create a constructor. Or there's some another methods. You can right click here and go to generate, and then will give you the options. I need a constructors. So you can create a constructor. I need a constructor with only doubles, the weight or the height. So I need the constructors for both. Good, I can select them and create a constructor. See, very simple things. You can create a constructor using Android Studio. Oh, now you see this. This is another version of constructor. These two constructors, the first constructors, the signature of the first constructor is the name is exactly match with the name of the class, PMI model. Here, two argument, string W and string H. Here we have another constructor with the same name, but the signature is different. Here we receive two parameters. One is W and the other one is height. Not only the name of them is different. I can make this weight and height the same name, but still there is no problem here. Here is height, and this I will need to adjust it to weight and adjust this to height. There is no problem. These two constructors, they have different signature. Why? Because the one in the top here receiving two inputs of type strings. This is receiving two input of type doubles. So these two constructors are the same. I can create a copy constructors. A copy constructors for this method is take already made objects, a BMI model objects, and create a new object with the same weight and the same height. So I can create a copy constructor here saying public, the same thing, BMI model, and then I say I need a BMI model, that is other objects. So I take a BMI model that is already created and initialize. This is a copy constructor. The thing about copy constructor is taking existing objects of type BMI model and create a new objects of type BMI with the same state. What is the state of BMI model? Any object of BMI model has weight and the height. These weight and height, the value for the weight, the value for the height represent the state of the model or the state of the objects. So I say, okay, this dot weight equal other dot weight. And then I say this dot height equal other dot height. So this is a could be constructors. You take the existing object of type BMI and then you create a new object with this. How I can use this method, how I can test it, and you can see here we have a get BMI method that will take the weight and divide it by the weight times the height and then create a string and then return a string to the user. This is to bound, that's take the weight and convert it to the bound. This is 2 feet, that's take nothing and work with the existing height that represent the state of the model and use utility dot meter to feet inch will retain. To test this class, what we can do, we can use the main method. The main method here can use it to test our model, if our model is correct or not. I know if I give the weight is 100 and the height is 1.8 meters, I know what is the BMI. I can run this one, and then once I have the result, I can compare the result with the manual calculation that I have. Then I say, oh, my model is correct. My model is correct. Now, as you can see here, these 2 attributes or these 2 features or fields inside, you can see here, this is the result. Whenever we have the weight is, we have the weight on bound, we have the height on the this, and then we have the BMI. And also this is the output of 2 bounds and 2 feet and inch. Then I evaluate the output by looking as a developers to the output and do the manual calculation on pencil and papers and evaluate my methods. Also, one thing I would like to add to this class, you see here these are private. So I would like to get the weight and the height method. So I can ask to generate, here I can ask right click, generate, and I need getter method. So I can generate a get method for both of them. Then I have 2 methods here, get weight and get height, and then I can interact with the object by get. I cannot use set method. I can use set method because these are private. Can I use set method? I create the object, and after I create the object, I decide to change the height. If this is part of, remember the string? The string is immutable object. So once you create the string, you cannot change the state of the string. You can change the state of the string by destroying the existing one and create a new one with a new value for the string. Is that right? The same thing. Is BMI model is immutable object? Once I create the BMI, I cannot change it? No, I create a BMI for some students, and then after 3 months, he gain a new weight. So I can change the weight. I can set the weight. So the weight is a private, so I cannot set it directly by saying BMI here in the method. I go here, for example, I say my model dot, I cannot see here the weight and height. Even if I put a weight equal, let's say 20, it will not run. Why this weight is private? Let's try. Maybe I'm wrong. It's running. So what's wrong? Why I can change the weight directly? It's in the same class. Did you see that? We can change the weight. How I cannot change the weight? The main method inside the same class. Okay. Let us here create a new class. And then create main method and define my model. Sorry, it's called PMI model. My model equal new PMI model. I call the constructors. Now I have two versions of the constructor, the one that receives strings and the one that receives doubles. So I can say I need a constructor with and then I have the height 1.5. Then I can ask, I print the model. What do you think the output of this class, if I run it? You see the output here? Why do you think that the output is? Why do you think the output is looking like this? Yes? Yes. Yes, we need two string methods. So we can go back here to this one and we can ask generate. I don't know how to write two strings. I can ask two strings. I need two strings. Yes, I need both of them. Then this is the default one. So this will generate two strings for me. And as you can see, this is override. Okay, override. So now if I run this one, what do you think the output will be? BMI model, then you have the braces, you have the weight is equal and the height is equal. If I want to print BMI model in different way, you can say I want to say this is EECS1022 BMI model, for example. I save this one, I go back here and run it again. This will be printing now the BMI model, as you can see. Now, that's back to our questions. I cannot change. I say my model dot weight. I don't see the weight even. Okay, weight is equal to, let's say, 1.6, whatever is the value. I cannot even, the compiler saying you cannot access the weight because the weight is a private, and this is a method main outside the class. Then again back to the questions. Why I was able to do this? Because the main method inside the same class, and the private you can access it from within the class, but you cannot access the private outside the class. Okay, so to be able to access the weight from outside, if it's private, you need to, this is a get method, you need to add what we call set method, the setter method. You can generate them also directly. Do you know in 2030 that we asked the students to create a set method, get method, and they were not able to do that? Even it's just a few click, right click, and then select on the clips. In the 23 we use the clips, not in our studio. But even this, generate a set method and get method, they don't know how to do generate because they're not familiar with the environment. So you can see here I didn't a few types. Normally I rely on the Android Studio to create a constructors for me, to create a get method, set method. I just focus on the real implementation, for example, for calculating the BMI. So now I have the set method. To be able to set the height, what should I do? Or the weight? I call dot set height, for example. I change the height to 1.9. And then I can print the model again and see if this is effect. By doing this, I test the model. Is that right? I'm doing the test now to see if this really going to change the status. This consider an efficient way for a small model. But if you have a big model that you need to test, this will not be an efficient way. You need to rely on some testing mechanisms to test your functionality or your model efficiently. So we go to you can see here, there is two types of tests on the Android Studio. There is Android Studio test here. This is the instrumented test, which is really focus on the test of the app and simulate the existence of end user who interact with your app. Then you test that. And the other test is a traditional Java test, which is the test that we're going to cover today. And this is not part of the course. We're not going to generate the test that simulate the interaction between end user and the app and simulate what is the input of the user and then see the interaction. This is not part of we're going to create here the traditional Java test, which is use the JUnit test. So whenever you need to create the class on the test, you go to the test package. This is a package. Right click and then you add a new class. You call the class whatever you like. Let's say a PMI test 2. And this class, it's an empty class for testing your PMI models. So you can test individual methods, you can test the constructors, you can test the get method, set method, all of this. You can create individual test units and then you run all these individual test units either alone or all together to generate. So I have created here in this two JUnit tests to test only 2 pounds. This is how you create. Let me just go back here. If you would like to add any JUnit test here or any unit test, you just right click and say generate. I need a test method. It's give you a empty test method. You name it whatever. Let's say I need to test. You start test. I need to test what? Get height. And then you start writing your code to test the JUnit test. Let us see some example that I create. For example, here we need public void test 2 pounds. I create the model with some height and weight, and then I know based on my calculations that if I call 2 pound method, I should retain a string as 220. So then I ask assert equals. There is a message that I'm going to print it to the user if there is any errors, and if I expected is equal my model.2 pounds. This part, my model.2 pound, represent your implementation. You are testing your models before you put it inside the app. I'm testing the model that I can transfer any kilograms to pound correctly. So I created one JUnit test with some examples that this model with weight 100 and if I use 2 pounds should transfer this 200 to 220. Then I can run this test individually or I can run all the tests together. Okay? So another test, I change the BMI model, I expect 99. This is what happened. In the exam, lab test 2, I give you some examples. And I ask you to create a method. For example, if I give you this input array, the average of even numbers will be like this. So these examples, when I evaluate your program, I translate these examples to JUnit tests. And also, I add another examples that is not seen by you. I did it. So what happened that I found some students, they create a method which is that if this input, retain this one. If this input, retain this one, like the string number of white spaces inside the string. If this is a string equal to this, retain 4. If this is string, retain 11. But what about other JUnit test cases that I hide it from you and we need to evaluate? I create another one. Like find the mean and median. I give you examples. Some students, if this is the array, give me this median. They didn't do implementation yet, actually. They try to make the implementations as the examples, which is not fair. So that's why we have the JUnit as a powerful method to evaluate. So I can go here and run all the JUnit test, and it's give me the output. If this is JUnit is running or not, you can see here it's passing. That's meaning green, it's passed. 2 test is passing here on this one. Now let's assume that a student who have a wrong implementation for 2 pounds. Okay? So let's say here the students is supposed to divide by this number, and student decide to divide by 0.45. So this implementation should be wrong. So if I run the JUnit test again, you can see that these 2 tests are failed. So this is about evaluating, and you can see here we have expected is 220 and the result is 222. So there is a deviation from what is expected and what is correct. Okay? Let us back to the original implementations and discuss another examples. Now, sometimes I have another JUnit test, okay, on the examples here, on the projects. For example, this is the mortgage model that you create. All of you create this mortgage model. And to be able to test this mortgage model, you can create the main method, as you can see, create the mortgage models and evaluate this one and run the main methods and then see if the things be compatible with the pencil and papers that you did. Or you can create a JUnit test here inside the test for the mortgage, and you can run this. This is a JUnit test, and you can see here is assert equal, assert true, assert false. There is a lot of assertions on the you can use inside your JUnits, and I can run all of them here. Now, as you can see, I have to go to each one of these JUnit and run it independently. But again, you can have things here built on edit configurations. I need to create a test environment, Android JUnit test. I can name it my test, okay? And then I need to be all packages in the whole projects, okay? And say apply, okay? Then if I run this environment, it will run all the JUnit tests inside my projects. As you can see, all the JUnits here on this side, I run all the JUnits. So assume that you have an app that contains many classes, and for each class you create the JUnit test for it. And in this time, you need to run all the JUnit for your app to make sure you can create an environment where you can run all the JUnits. Any question? So this is all about the JUnit. It's good to learn it by examples, okay? I can talk the lectures hours and hours about the component of JUnits and how to efficiently implement the JUnit, but these examples highlight the actual process that you need to do to test your models. So I create the class for my app. Then I would like to evaluate this class. I create many methods, as you can see, either to use the main method approach, where you can write some examples and evaluate, or you can use the JUnit approach by using the traditional way of JUnit by creating the class and test. Any question? Did any one of you use the JUnit before? One? Okay, 2? Use it? Okay. Okay, so let us stop the demo and stop the recording here. Try to submit this one back. Okay. So here we have some slide. In some terms about the testings, we have the unit testing that testing the model by itself. So you can see here we have a system. System is many components inside the system. Component A, P, and C, and D, and E. All these components are interacting with each other. The input of one component is the output of other components. So we can use the unit testings by taking each component and test it by itself. And that's testing A alone, testing E alone. We can use integrated testing by testing a group of models, like I need to see the interaction between A and P. I know there is no interaction between C and P, so I don't need to test interaction or integration between B and C, but I need to have the integration between A and P, and then A and C, and so on. System testing, a fully integrated testing that tests complete system. And acceptance testings, which is a process of a real demo, a real data, real users who are going to use your apps and test the apps. In this class, we're going to use the unit testings as you saw. We have some methods individually we tested, some classes individually we test this class. Then after we make sure that a class is working correctly, we run the apps. Now 90% of the testings normally developer do is unit testings, is taking the units per unit and test it. As you saw, we have two bounds methods, we test it individually. We can have get method test, set method test. We can have a method constructor method test. So we can have a test for each individual components. This is an example that we discussed in case of the demo was not working, but actually it's worked. So everybody built the BMI models, and you create the test using a main method approach, or then you print the output, you check the output, or you can have the JUnit test by going to testing and then create a new class. You will have one example unit test. This is the examples. You can use it. You can change the name of it and use it. Or you can create your own class, new BMI test method. Then inside it, you can generate, as you can see, test. Then it will be empty JUnit test. And inside it, you can set the value for the test. Any question? Okay. Then we have two tests, and we can run these two tests. And in case of we have failure, you will see this screen that there is a failure. Two tests are failing. Okay, and all of this can be captured on the log file. I can search inside the search. That's what happened. I use the regular expression. I use the JUnit to evaluate your test. Okay, any question? Good. So within a few minutes, we're going to discuss the collections. But before we go inside, dig deep on the collections, we need to highlight, not on details, but on the top level, what is interface. In Java, you can create a class. And then you can say, this class, I need an object from this class. So you provide a public constructors, and then you tell the user how they can create an object from this class. Or you say, I need a class, but I don't need anyone to create an object from it. So you create a private empty constructors. So no one can create like the math, like the characters, like this big arrays, dot. So these methods are created by Java expert, and they don't need anyone to create an object from the math class. So that's why you cannot create an object. They create a private constructor, an empty one. No one can create an object from the math. And there is another type inside Java. It's called interfaces. You say, I would like to create a class, but I'm not going to write the definition of each method. But I need this class to contain a specific method. When we say a method, that means we say a behavior. We say that a class contains data and behaviors. Behavior responsible for the method. When you implement a specific method, you implement a behavior, like BMI model. You say, I need a behavior for this model to transfer any kilogram to pound. So the methods are called behavior. So I need a class that contains some constant and also contains some behaviors. But again, the definition of the behavior is not completely defined. I need someone to implement this interface if you decide to implement this interface, you decide to write the definition in your way. But I guarantee that you have this method inside your class. So the interface is a reference type. It's not an object type. So you use it always on the left side. So it's a reference type. It's not an object type. It contains some nested types, method signatures, and some constant. A method body is not defined inside the interface. There's no definition. No, like to bound, I just give you the header. I didn't define the body of it. Now, you cannot instantiate from the interface. You cannot create an object. That's why I told you it's a reference type. You can use it on the reference side. You cannot use it on the object side, on the right side. In you cannot use it with a new. You cannot create a new object from an interface. Can be implemented by other classes, and that is the beauty of it. You have the interfaces defined. You can ask other people to implement your interface. Can be extended by another interface, which is not actually part of this course. You cannot, inheritance is about inheritance. You can create an interface and you extend it from parent to child interface and all so on. All the methods in the interface, by default, public abstract methods. Again, it's another, I know it's not part of your class. What is abstract? It's another class, another type of class. You can create a class, you can create an abstract class, and you can create an interface. But to be able to understand the collections, we need to understand what is the interface. So we know that the interface, there is only the definition, the signature of the method, some constant. We cannot create object from the interface. If you take this only, that's good for me. This is an example. You say, I need a public interface, drivables. Any things can drive should have a method start, forward, 10 with some angles, and stop. This is an interface. It's just a method. As you can see, there is no implementation for these methods, and it's called public interface drivables. So this is exactly the interface. Is a signature of the methods. There's no definitions, no bodies for the methods, and we say anything can move, drivables, should has a start method. I know that driving the bicycle is different from driving the car, so the start method implemented on the bicycles is different from the motorcycles, is different from the car, but I know that bicycles, motorcycles, and car are all drivable objects. Is that right? To be able to drive the car, implement the drivable interface, so you need to give me a method to start the bicycles, how to start the bicycles, how to start the car, how to start the motorcycles. All these are different implementations, but all of them agree to implement the interface. So there is a forward, moving forward, or there is a turning to angle. I know turning an angle on the motorcycle is maybe similar to bicycles, but it's different in the car. Okay? And also stop. Stopping the bicycle is different from stopping the motorcycles or the car. So the implementation is different, but all of these objects are drivables and should contain these 4 methods. So in this case, we have the bicycles like this: public, class, bicycle, implement, drivables. So a drivable is the interface. When I say that I'm going to create a class called bicycles that's implemented drivable, the compiler will not allow me to compile. I should provide the implementation for all these 4 methods. I should give the implementation for the start, for turning, for forwarding, and for stop. So if I'm going to start the bicycles, I should did some step. In this case, I just print a string. Forward, should I give some instructions to the user how to go forward on the bicycles. And this is just an example to demonstrate what is the interface is. Now, if I have a car, absolutely the car is a drivable. In this case, we have name for the car, and we provide a method. We have the constructors, and also in addition to that, this car implement the drivable interface. Once I say that my object implement a specific interface, that means this object should provide implementations and definitions for all the method inside the interface. So in this case, our interface is drivables, contains start, stop, forward, and turn. So this method, this class, car, should give me the implementation for all of them. So in this case, I should see start, forward, and turn, and stop. Any question? Yes? Yes. This is more like an at override. This is not necessary. This is annotations is generated by the Java automatically. If you want Java to, I can delete them and still compile the code, but it's more for the reader to know that this method is actually overriding from the interface. So this is annotations, and when we teach the students on 2030, we teach the Java documentations. Java documentations is generate the documentation that you write it inside the body of the code as an HTML page. So this annotation will help on the Java documentation. When I run the Java documentation for my code to generate the HTML page that I can share with the users, this annotation is very important. Okay? But for the sake of compiling the code and running the code, this annotation has no weight there, but has a lot of meaning weight on the documentations. If I am going to go to document my code to know that this method is actually originally is defined on the interface, is not originally defined here, like toString. toString is from the object class. Object class is the father for all the classes that we created. Even if we didn't explicitly extend the object, Java will extend the object class, where toString is written there. And you override it, as you saw here on this demo, we override it for a BMI. We say whenever we ask BMI print, we need to print the BMI differently. Okay? Any other questions? Oh, nested type means you have an object of bicycle here inside the class. So another object inside it, okay? So I can have inside the interface is another constant of different types, okay? So like you have a car class, inside it there is a wheel as an object, the engines as an object, okay? It's a compound, and there is a compositions, and these will be another topics for 2030. Okay? Any other questions? Yes? Yes, I can still add a new methods to the car, but the compiler will not allow me to go forward without implementing start, forward, turn, and stop, because I declare on the header I'm going to implement a drivable interface. Okay? Yes, of course, I can add any other methods that related to a car. As you can see here, I have attribute and the constructor. Yes?
Even
In the Java, you cannot leave the method without the definition, only in the abstract levels, or if you declare this is an abstract method, which is out of scope of this course. So if you want to declare that some method inside this is not implemented, and if you gonna implement it later on for any object, that should be abstract class. So abstract class is different from interface by it contains some implementations, but there's some method is not implemented, okay? In the interface, nothing is implemented. Any other question? Okay, so this is the way of showing the relation between the car and bicycles to the interface. And here is very important. So we can use the drivable as a reference. We cannot use it as to create an object. You can see here, I can create a car object, a new car. I give the name for the car. Then I can ask the car A to start, car A to go forward. And you can see here the reference type or the declaration type is what? Car. Look here, a drivable car P. This is a valid. There's no problem. I can use a drivable as a reference type. This is why I told you on the left side, you can use the reference, but I cannot use it here in the new. So I can have this new car P, and I can ask the car B to go forward, to go 10 left or right. I can use a drivable as a reference. I cannot use it inside the new. So this is okay. No, you cannot use a new with the interface. This I cannot use a new with the interface. This is wrong. Keep it in your mind. You cannot create object from the interface. You can use the interface, as you can see in the previous slide, in the reference type. Here in the reference type, I can use drivables. But I cannot use new drivables. Okay? Yes? Oh, the difference will be clear when we go to the collections. All these discussions to build a ground that we can start on discussing the collections. Because collections is built on this kind of relation between interface and the collections. So if I create, you can see here, I can use a drivable car with this simple example. You have bicycles and the car, both implemented drivable, yes? So imagine I have a bicycle object. I can assign the bicycle object to the car P. So because car P is reference type is a drivable. So drivable can accept any drivable objects. Bicycle is a drivable object, car is a drivable object. But in the case of I define car A, if I use car A equal, or I use car A to reference a bicycle, compiler will say, that's wrong. What you're doing? You create a car, the only can reference a car. But you create a car P with the reference type is a drivable. So you can use a car P to reference to bicycles, to motorcycles, to car in your program, which is give you more flexibility on the programming. Okay? And that is just for this simple examples. The same thing for the collections. You create an array list, hash map list, you create an array list, linked list, both of implement a list interface. So inside your programming, you can assign the object to the list. It's give you more flexibility, and you don't need to replicate your code whenever you are using a array list or linked list. So you can use only one reference as a list. So with this simple example, you can see I can create a drivable object and then create a new car, assign it to it, and I don't need to create a new object. I'm using the same object to create a new bicycle. So that's why the interface is very powerful methods, and we only use them on the reference type. We cannot create object from the new drivable. So keep this in your mind. If you see this in the test, we cannot create object from interface. This is wrong. Okay? Just to summarize, interface contains method declarations and any constants you may have. all the methods inside the interface. You cannot have a private method. Keep that in your mind too. All the methods, by definitions, even if I didn't put public in the front of them, they are public. Java expert, they will take it and make it public methods, even if you miss that. If you don't write it, it's a public. Doesn't mean it's a... They are all interface are purely abstract classes, and that's what we discuss, but is not your topic to understand what is abstract class is. Your topic is to understand what is interface is, and you cannot create object from the interface. And interface are meant to be implemented, and once you decide to implement the interface, you have to implement all of them. If you miss one of them, the compiler will stop you. And the class can extend a single class, but it can implement many interfaces. This, you will see the beauty of it in 2030, but just keep it in your mind for informations. Okay, just to summarize, interface and the classes are user-defined type. You can define whatever you like as an interfaces. You can set a method inside the interface, but you cannot have the data, only constant. Inside the class, you can have data and constant. As you see in the BMI model, we have the height and the weight and some methods. The methods are implemented inside the class, but inside the interface, it is not implemented. And you cannot create object from interface. You can create object from the class. Any questions? Okay, so we're going to start discussing the collection next time.